Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to color grade using a plugin called Dehancer to get that filmic look or to upgrade your production, right? First thing you do, you drag and drop Dehancer onto your clip as you would any other effect. This is my Premiere Pro timeline that I've tweaked for color grading specifically. This is why it would look like this. If yours doesn't look like this, just go to, go to Window, Workspaces, click on Color. Yours should look like this, right? Then you just type in Dehancer in your effects panel, drag and drop it onto your clip, all right? You'll always keep an eye on these three things, right? You want to have it spread out as much as possible between the values of 0 and 100, and that's how you know that you have like a balanced image, all right? All right, so because this was shot using a DJI drone in D-Log, it's the Mavic 2 Pro that was used for this shot. What I did was I used the Dehancer's built-in conversion lot, right? So I just go onto choose camera, then I click here, scroll down until I found what I used on my profile, just the Mavic 2 Pro and D-Log, and I clicked on it. Bam. Just like that. I went from flat. I'd go from having a flat image to having a very workable image to start off with, right? But when you let's say you just drag and drop if you're using Dehancer for the first time, it would automatically have all of these options on. Besides input, it would have all of these options on, right? So I'd recommend you go down the line and turn off everything and then go through them one by one. Tweak them as you see fit. All right. So after input, I go to film and choose a film profile. And what I use I'd always use either the Kodak Vision 3 250D, Vision 3 500T, or the Fujicolor Pro 400H. Where are you? There we go. So one of those three is what I'd use for any of my clips, right? But for this particular one, I use the Kodak Vision 3 500T, right? I'll show you how the difference that it makes. This is a disabled, enabled, disabled, enabled. See, it makes the overall image a little bit cooler and takes away a little bit of that green, right? Adds a little bit more blue into it, yeah. And that's the look that I'm going for this, okay? Film developer, I use this a bit. All right, so let's disable it. This is how it would look if it was disabled. So you can see it's pretty flat and lifeless. So I'd enable it. I'll reset all these values. This is how it normally would look if you enable it. And what I do is I bump up the color boost. That's essentially my saturation. Bump this to about 80. I don't want it to go all the way to 100. And I think it's a bit too bright right now. So I'll take the contrast and I'll bump that up. That already looks a lot more professional, right? And what I want, the highlight, that's a little pun, the highlight of this to be this blaring highlight from the sun reflecting off of the ocean, right? That's what I want to be the main focus of this image, right? So I'll take down I'd make hair darker so your eyes are naturally drawn to this, right? Go to film compression. What that does is it essentially your highlights, it compresses that, right? If you look at my highlights here, when I enable and disable it, you'll see what it does. Disabled highlights a little bit more. You can't really see that detail in the ocean, like where the sun is hitting. Enabled, some of that detail comes back. Expand, I use this sometimes. I use it at this point, like right now, right? So I'll reset it. So usually this is where it would be. It would be on 100, and you just go down the settings, go down the list, and tweak it how you see fit. So I use the white point to bring up my whites a little bit. I didn't touch the black point here because I didn't feel like I needed to. I put this to around here. Let's say 65 or so. That's fine for me. I'm always keeping my eyes on these values over here because I don't want it to be clipping the 100 mark. But this flat point on my graphs would be the sun here, right? So because it's literally overexposed, there's nothing you can really do about the clipping, but everything else should be balanced, right? Spread out evenly as much as possible. On to print. This is another favorite of mine, right? So let's disable it, and you see what it does. Disabled, this is how it looks. Enable. Usually, I would always use the Kodak 2383, right? That's just the look I love, right? I won't mess with anything else. I just enable that and move on. Color head, I use that a little bit, especially if I think there's a little bit more tweaking I could do with some colors, right? So like when this was disabled, I thought it was a bit too green. As you can see here, the overall, it's a little bit too green. I still want your eyes to be drawn over here to the the highlights, right? So I'll enable this, and I'd bump this a little bit more in the magenta side to take away from the green, right? If I bump to the green, you see how that affects it. Whoops, have it disabled. My bad. Right. You don't even have to do too much. A little goes a long way. See, I went -5 and it's already too magenta-y for me. So I carried down to about 2.2 around here, and I'm pleased with this. Right, that's what I want. Go on to film grain. I always use film grain. All right, always. That is a quick and easy way to just add so much character to your footage. All right, so the numbers here. If you go on Dehancer's website, they explain everything here in detail. I'm giving you a rough, very, very, very rough description of these things. Bigger number. So you could like the grain is there, but you can't really notice it as much. But if I go to 8 mm, it's visible. It's very, very visible, right? That's too much for me. I usually stick to 35, 250, and yeah, I move on. Halation and bloom go hand in hand. I use that almost all the time in all my clips, and I use it in tandem with the mask mode, right? So this basically just inverts the image to only show you exactly where your halation and bloom, what parts of the image are actually being affected, right? So you can use this and go through and see how much each option is affecting your image, right? For this, as I told you, I want that highlight, that sun streak to be the main focal point. So I'm gonna use 8 mm Super 8, and that's what I do. I always use mask mode. It's a very easy way to see where it's affecting your image, right? And if you use halation, you should use bloom. You don't always have to, but you should. They go hand in hand, right? I usually just keep the same settings, but sometimes I tweak it around if I need to. But for this, same settings. I move on. Film damage, I didn't use that really, but what that does is it basically emulates how physical film rolls could get dust particles in it that would scratch it or leave little specks. I don't know if you guys see those. You get that effect, like those particles on the screen, like when I drag the player head up and down, right? You see it there, and that's like emulating the damage that the physical film roll would have. Right, that's what that does. I didn't use it for this particular image because I didn't want to, but it's always there as an option, right? Film breath, I don't really use that. But yeah, those options that I went through before are usually what I use only. Okay, everything else is just like everyone knows what vignette is. You darken the edges and and like, yeah, I don't really use it, so I keep that off. And then the last thing you could tweak if you want is if you think the overall effect is a bit too much, you could always go in total impact and tone it down. Tone it down, carry it up, tone it down. So this is the image that I started with, and this is where we ended up, right? Only using Dehancer, nothing else, right? And it only took this long because I'm actually explaining what I'm doing, but usually I'd have like a timeline full of clips. I just run through this in like 5 minutes tops, 5 to 10 minutes tops, right? And I just copy paste if it's in the same location. So let's say I had a bunch of different drone shots from above in this exact location. I just copy paste after I'm finished color grading one, just copy paste those settings onto the rest of the clips, and that's it. It's very easy, very quick. Same thing for this. right? Went from here to here. It's the exact same procedure. Just I go through, I select my camera. For this one, because I'm using a GX85, that's because I shot this with a GX85, sorry. That camera is not in this list, so I didn't select it. If your camera's not here, don't panic. You could still get a very, very, very good color grading using Dehancer. Just use the other settings. That's it. Just ignore this option. Use the rest. All right. Everything else remains the same. See how for this one I told you guys I use either the Fuji Pro 400 or the Kodak 500T or 250D. So this one I use a 400H. I just love those three in particular. I always cycle between the three depending, right? But you could always go down the line and choose, experiment, see which one you like the most. That's what I did. I just go down the line, the exact same procedure, like for bloom, mass mode, see where it was affecting. Halation, same thing, see where it was affecting. Film grain, same thing. Print, always on Kodak 2383. I just go down the line and color grade as I saw fit, right? So the only thing I will say is the drawback of Dehancer is that it's very taxing on my hardware. Like I have 32 gigs of RAM, 3080, and a pretty powerful processor. 8 cores, 16 threads, or is it 1632? One of the two. Either way, my computer's a powerhouse. But Dehancer always slows my workflow down. So that's why I always color grade at the end of all of my editing. Like I piece my clips together, my sound effects, my music, all of that. And then the last thing that I do is put Dehancer on, because if you look here, right? So see how my timeline is green? Okay. That's because I rendered everything in before I recorded this tutorial, right? So I go into this clip and I just tweak anything in Dehancer. See how it gets so stuttery? That's what happens. For it to be smoothing, and you always have to go up here into sequence and render into out. That's a little bit annoying, right? Especially you have a bunch of clips. It slows your workflow down by a lot, especially if you have like some transitions going into different shots. Those transitions could get messed up. That's the only thing I wish that they could fix. But they're always they're releasing updates pretty regularly, so it's something that they will probably be working on in the future. And yeah, that's it for this little tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope that showed you how easy it could be to start your color grading journey now, like today. Start it right now. All right. Go on to Dehancer's website. Use my code WENK10 for 10% off. Because why would you want to pay 100% if you could get a discount that I'm giving to you? I'm giving this discount to you free of charge. Use it. Get 10% off. And get your clips going from flat to film quality like 5 minutes tops. There's no other plugin doing it like that. That's all I'm going to say. All right.